Hi, everybody. I am Penny of Silver Sun Astrology. I've been doing astrology for roughly 10 years, give or take. And today we are talking about moon sign compatibility. So you can apply this to any of the other placements in your chart too. But I am primarily focused on moon signs because I believe that is actually the most important and most profound aspect of compatibility. And today we're going to talk about Moon in Aries with Moon in Pisces. So before we do that, just a quick little plug. If you join my Patreon for $1 upfront and then $1 a month, you can get horoscopes for all 12 signs. Usually 2 times a month because I do them every new moon and every full moon. And there's also an option for $11 to also get a link to be able to join into the meditations that we do for the new and full moons, which are currently being streamed for free. But if you want to join live with us, you will need some kind of invite or link. Okay, so Moon in Aries with Moon in Pisces. This is a fire and water combo, Aries being the fire, Pisces being the water. Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac and Pisces is the very last, but they're also right next to each other in the zodiac, which does create a sense of closeness and easier relatability. I have graphics on Pinterest, which I'll try to have linked below, where I explain emotional pacing, and it's basically just the concept of how fast we move emotionally, which is really important in a relationship. Like anytime something happens in a relationship, the speed at which you personally process it and how you process it versus how your partner needs to process it, this becomes relevant, and it's something that can either make or break the relationship. And if you guys do have a different emotional processing speed, all you really have to do is understand that and be aware of how your partner processes emotions. So you can be like, whoa, okay, you need to do that and I respect you. So awareness is key. Of course, some people, they process emotions in such a similar way anyway that they don't even need the awareness, but most of us do. Most of us are not exactly like our partners. So Aries processes emotions very, very fast. They're like speed racer, go out and get it, immediate reactions, fastest of the fast. And Pisces actually naturally will process emotions pretty slowly. But what is interesting about Pisces is they have this adaptability where if they see someone else moving fast, it's almost like they can skip through time and just become immersed into the experience so they can also process things fast. But this doesn't always happen. I see it happen most at the beginning of a relationship where, Moon in Aries and Moon in Pisces both develop feelings for each other very quickly. And it's like when they get together, it's just on from there and there's no stopping them. But you will start to see Moon in Pisces needing to honor their true nature later on in the relationship, where they'll have to step back and process things. And they do it more slowly than Moon in Aries does. Like if you have Moon in Aries, you need to know probably everyone out there is going to process emotions more slowly than you do. If, like, in theory, you could have your moon sign, even in Aries, conjunct Saturn or having some other aspect to Saturn, or you could have it in the second house or the 10th house or something that makes it like a little bit more slow. So it'll vary. But that's something you need to be prepared for with anyone you date. If your moon sign is an Aries, you're always going to be the faster reacting one, pretty much always for the most part. So Pisces will get empathically in sync with you and you'll feel like you can vibe with them really well. And that's great. I've got some notes here in case you're wondering. Aries loves seeing that Pisces can match their level of passion, and I personally feel like Pisces even just makes that level of passion so much deeper. Like Aries will feel passion very intensely, like it's something they just have to react on and they're in the moment. But then the Pisces placements can add a new level of depth to that. Some Moon and Aries people, especially if they don't have any 12th house or like water or 8th house influence in their chart, some Moon and Aries people will be uncomfortable with the depth. It'll seem like overwhelming. It'll feel like it's too much at times. But again, it depends on the Moon and Aries person's aspects in their own chart. Pisces is very much willing to let Aries take the lead, but they can't really do this long term. Like, you got to think, how well is Pisces really gonna follow Aries? Aries is the alpha sheep. It's a ram, and they like to be a leader. They like to be in front, and they are, to some extent, they need someone who will follow them, who will let them take the lead. And fish don't really mind following the leader, but they also like kind of wander off and get immersed in other things. Just the nature of that water influence. It becomes hard to follow, and they might feel like they can't do this long term. So from the Moon and Pisces person's perspective, they might feel like they made a lot of sacrifices for the relationship, and most likely they did it without thinking. They did it without a second thought. They just did it naturally, and it felt good in the moment. But there might be a point where they're like, whoa, back up. What is actually going on here? What did I actually get myself into? And then most likely the Moon and Aries person is going to be offended and hurt by this, because it's confusing and it's not straightforward. And it's like, Aries is a very straightforward placement, so it's difficult for them to understand these people who are not as simple and not as straightforward, and who wind up with all these like buried emotions that they didn't even know were there. And then once Pisces unearths the emotions, and Pisces is definitely not the only sign that does this, but it's one of them. And once Pisces unearths the emotions, not only is Pisces like, whoa, I didn't know that was there, but they're like, now that it's there, I don't know what to do with it either. And Aries is like, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you? How did this even happen? Okay, so yeah, Aries can definitely take this personally when it happens. And I think it'll help for both people to be aware of this. Like, this is hurtful for Aries. This almost feels like it's unfathomable to them. So they might even think like, there's no way this isn't intentional. There's no way this isn't a personal attack. But if they have awareness of astrology and good understanding of other people, they'll be more able to understand. So it's good that you're here. Okay, yeah. So Pisces behavior can be interpreted as being deceitful because of Pisces' Neptunian influence and this chameleon-like quality where they like become what they're surrounded by, and they mirror their partner in certain ways. And we all, to like at least a small extent, everybody becomes a different person while in a relationship. And that's why we have the composite chart as something we look at in astrology. But Pisces placements will do it even more so. Pisces and 12th house placements, actually. So you might feel like, once the Pisces person comes to a point where they're like, oh my gosh, I've become a different person and I don't even know who that person is, and they're like starting to freak out and stuff, the Aries person might, feel like this was deceit. It was deceit. Like, what do you mean you're being a different person around me? And it might not be worded exactly in this way, but this Pisces person, they might have some moment of realization, like, I'm not sure that any of this was exactly what I wanted. One thing I want to point out for everyone who has Pisces or 12th house influence, because I personally have a lot of 12th house influence. I have a stellium in the 12th house. So one thing I've had to accept about myself, and knowing that this, self-sacrifice and, becoming like, to me, from my perspective, it's like becoming of service to someone else, because I also have a lot of Virgo placements. You might feel a little bit differently about it, but when I become something else because of my interaction with someone else, I also have to acknowledge that that is me. That's part of my personality. And, my ability to become something different, to adapt, to like psychically connect with others to an extent that it's almost like I get to become part of them. It's a beautiful thing, and it makes my relationships beautiful, but then it also makes me feel so freaking lost at times. And, the part of the problem is really that feeling of, oh shit, I'm lost. I've lost myself in this relationship. But if you, I want to just say, if you meditate, like literally, if you meditate, if you clear your mind and you realize that you are everything, you are everyone, you are connected to everything and everyone, And, from my perspective, because I believe in some type of God, I'm not picky on like what the manifestation is or whether you think God's male or female or, God is just nature or science. I don't really care as much about that. But from my perspective, we are all part of God. And at that point, it's like, well, who cares if I did something that someone else wanted me to do that I would not have done if this person wasn't here? Like, because they're part of me anyway. We're all part of the same force. And for 12th house and Pisces people, I think that's why we're able to do this. It's why we're able to do like all of this self-sacrifice stuff that we don't even realize as self-sacrifice in the moment. And like, to some extent, we just have to accept that we're like this. It might not seem like it's healthy from other people's perspective, but we are who we are, and we have to respect who we are and not get mad at ourselves for being the way that we are. And I think once we get to that point, it can help us solve some of the issues we have in relationships. And I point this out because I think this problem can be even bigger and can feel even worse when you're with someone who has strong leadership qualities and specifically strong Aries placements, because they will, I don't want to say take advantage of it more than anyone else, because they're not trying to do it on purpose, but they will make use of this energy. And like ultimately all the blessings we have, do we not want to make use of them? I know this sounds really weird, and you're welcome to feel any way about it you want. And, you're welcome to watch this and be like, whoa, I never want to date someone with Aries placements ever again, because that sounds awful. That's cool if you want to do that. I just think it's healthy to understand like what we're all going through. Anyway, thank you, Mercury retrograde. Mercury's currently retrograde in Taurus, and the rambling was so on point for Mercury retrograde, because this is not what I planned to say in the video at all. Yeah, but Pisces can be really overwhelmed by Aries, and it might feel like they don't even have a choice. Sometimes they might feel like it's confusing because they can follow subconsciously and like not even realize they're doing it, and then they can start to become consciously aware of it and still continue to do it. And then at that point they might feel like they are actually being bossed around, which can build resentment over time. And depending on where they have their Mercury and Mars sign, they might not like actually let you know that they feel this way. They might not let you know that they're getting bossed around. And having that Pisces moon, they might just kind of internalize it and get depressed and become more distant. Like, regardless of whether or not they're depressed, they might become a little more distant. They might be trying to spend more time alone because they feel like they don't have any choice but to follow you, take your lead, do everything to please you as the Aries person, because Pisces is not a naturally assertive sign. So when they have someone who is assertive and confident, it's like, how do I even deal with this person? And it's not because they think badly of you. It's just, they just don't know how to do things the way you do them. Aries can also like get depressed and really feel like their fire was put out, their self-esteem was damaged when they see Pisces starting to pull away, because Aries will just, Aries is a very confident sign, but they can be stricken by doubt when they see their partner pull away and start to become distant. So yeah, what I was actually supposed to be talking about is that these two signs are right next to each other. They're considered to be semi-sextile or semi-square. There's different terms for that. And this means they're not considered to be traditionally compatible. But like I said, they will find a lot of moments where they relate to each other. And you might also feel like you relate to each other's like inner innocence and inner purity. It's complicated because Pisces is a complicated sign, but at the same time, it's very simple. And both these signs usually have very pure intentions, like not much of a complicated agenda. Like with Aries, when they're mad, and for the most part, you're going to know they're mad. They might have their Mars sign somewhere else that makes things more complicated at times. But just speaking on Aries placements and Aries alone, they're very straightforward about things. And they're considered to be the child of the zodiac, because what do children do when they're mad? Like, especially if they're like toddler age, they scream, they cry, they throw a tantrum, they let everyone know, and then they're over it. It's expressed and then it's gone and we move on. And that is like Aries adults, of course, will express it in a more mature way, but that's kind of the nature of how Aries experiences emotions. And Pisces, on the other hand, they have the ability to let go, but they really experience like the connectiveness with others is what I want to say. So in their connection with others, they seem to acknowledge, if one person is hurt, then that's also going to hurt other people, and it's going to create this big snowball effect. So for that reason, they won't usually go out and actively try to hurt others, because they can feel it too. They feel themselves hurting themselves when they're hurting others. So that creates more reason to be pure, more reason to be kind, more incentive to have clear intentions. So neither one of these signs tend to be particularly conniving about anything. Well, I did say this stuff. I said easy to feel closeness, difficult to feel equal. Yes. So this relationship might feel very imbalanced, where one person is the leader and one person's the follower, like at times, whether they want to be or not. And as the Aries person, you might have to constantly go check in with the Pisces person, check in with them, see how they're feeling, and even learn to take inspiration from them. Listen to what they want, because you might realize that the thing that they wanted that they weren't speaking up on is actually something that you really kind of want too. And they might not be confident enough to say what they want, but you're going to have to find a way to make them feel more comfortable and ask them in a very non-threatening way. Make it clear that you're not looking to pick a fight. You're not looking to shoot down their desires and their requests. You're here to listen to them. So there's likely to be like a subtle kind of power battle going on in this relationship that nobody really wins. So again, it's very important for you to be aware of Pisces' more passive approach to things, and Aries understand that your direct approach can sometimes perpetuate some of the problems that you guys are experiencing. And there's likely going to be one person, and you guys go back and forth, who is dictating the mood and tone of this relationship. And on the worst end of it, it could feel like one person is winning and one person is losing, because, that whole like water and fire dynamic thing, like only one can win, only one can survive. And the positive manifestation of that is where you get like warm bath temperature water, or you get, like steamy hot tub type of water. And it can be soothing, it can be sensual, and it can be really romantic. But the negative end of that is where you guys try to outdo the other, put the other one out, where if Aries gets an explosive temper, they could dry out the Pisces, and then the Pisces has like no emotion left to give. If Pisces becomes like overly sad and they let their emotions come out like a flood, like a tidal wave, which is a Pisces tendency, like letting everything out like a tidal wave, like you didn't even know it's there and it starts to come out, and and then you do that in a way that like overwhelms the Aries so much that it extinguishes their flame, it extinguishes their motivation, and it puts them in a dark place. So I think when each of you takes the responsibility to keep yourself healthy and kind of keep yourself in check so that your emotions don't become so overwhelming and so extreme, then you can have a healthy relationship. But if you let those emotions become overwhelming and extreme, this is a combination that can really end up hurting each other pretty badly. And it's both of your responsibilities to do the work on this. Okay, so again, Pisces can't always figure out what they are feeling and may be annoyed with Aries for asking or pressing for answers. Pisces is not even capable of being as direct as Aries. And Pisces are more the types to be like, I need someone else to help me understand how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. So like Moon and Pisces people are like the more likely ones to come and get psychic readings and talk about how they're feeling, whereas Moon and Aries people are like, I've got it figured out on my own. I don't need no stinking psychic reading. I don't need no empath telling me how I feel. I know this. But Moon and Aries will probably need to take some time to understand how other people are feeling, other people in their life. That would be beneficial. So Aries may struggle to be patient with Pisces. Aries may struggle to be patient with everyone, honestly. Some Aries will be more empathetic than others, so look at other aspects. You can have an Aries moon in the 12th house, for example, and I keep mentioning the 12th house because the 12th house is the house of Pisces, so you would have some Pisces influence in addition to the Aries influence. If Aries is pushy, then Pisces might shut down and want to leave the relationship. Aries wants things to be straightforward and easy to understand. They may be annoyed that Pisces continues to complicate things. And if you are annoyed by this, you need to find a different way to understand what's going on and a different way to view it, so you don't just think to yourself, oh, my partner is always making things complicated. Why can't they be simple? Because I think there's something for you to learn and understand from this as well, not just oversimplifying it and saying they're complicating things. The relationship will most likely start pretty quickly and pretty easy. And the relationship will feel natural. It'll come pretty easily. There will be intense feelings that can surface right away, but Pisces will have to pull back and figure out how they're feeling later on. So Aries might not be happy about this, but is capable of understanding and forgiving that. Where it becomes a problem is if it seems like it's a cycle and it's perpetuating and it's always happening over and over again, because at that point it's like Aries is like, didn't we already deal with this? Like, why are we always dealing with the same thing over and over again? And hopefully some of the information I shared in this video will help you figure that out. It might sometimes feel like the relationship is in limbo because of that. But the good things about it never changing is that it never changes. So what I mean by that is the passion you guys felt at the beginning is always accessible. You know, I think you guys can always come back to that same level of passion you felt in the beginning. And that's what allows this relationship to last so much. But then on the negative end of that, you might feel like you're having a lot of these same issues over and over again as well. And you guys might fight like children. You guys might like literally have the same types of arguments that you had with some of your childhood friends. Like, oh, I want to do it this way. No, I want to do it this way. And, you know, and part of it is because you both have that inner purity. So, I mean, you know, children might seem silly at times, but they're relatively harmless most of the time. I don't know. I've seen some stuff in the news. Anyway, Pisces will admire Aries' ferocity and bravery. Aries will see Pisces as being pure and even a little bit lost at times. But they'll appreciate that. You know, they'll feel like they have someone to guide. And Pisces does kind of need a guide in some regards. Pisces might feel like Aries is being too pushy at times, might not necessarily be guiding them and leading them in the way they fantasize that they would be gently guided and led towards the things that they didn't even know they secretly wanted in life. So it might feel like it's not what you fantasized exactly, but Pisces tends to find that probably in just about all their relationships. You know, like, I wanted someone to help me find direction in life, but this isn't the way I wanted it. So, you know, if you have a lot of Pisces placements in your chart, you might find that that's a thing you go through a lot in your relationships. So I think honoring yourself is really the only solution to that, and understanding why you do these things, and understanding that it is because of your empathic connection with others. And yes, empathic connections can cause you to be taken advantage of, and they can cause you a lot of pain and strife in your life, but they can also create so much beauty. They can just amplify all of the beauty that you actually have in your relationships, because there is supposed to be empathy in a relationship. You just experience that empathy on a level that can be so overwhelming at times. So one final thing, let's see what I wrote here. Aries can learn to slow down. Pisces is one of the few signs that's capable of getting Aries to do this, because I feel like so many other signs will be fighting Aries on this. And Pisces will see Aries like a guiding light, a beacon of hope. And Aries is like your lighthouse, essentially Pisces. When you're lost out there at sea, you might find yourself coming back to them a lot. So anyway, I hope that helped you. If you need anything, feel free to reach out. I do limit the amount of one-on-one clients that I take, but you are welcome to sign up for horoscopes and reach out to see if I have any availability for readings. And I would love it if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. It's Silver Sun Astrology on all three of those, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye!